Okay. So going to talk about, we're talking about responding within 24 hours. So things get a little wonky and during the summer because, I might be traveling, it might be this. But generally speaking, I do respond within 24 hours. If I can't, I'll let you know. But generally speaking, I'm very, very good about that. One thing I'm going to point out though, let's suppose you have a homework and it's due on the 22nd. You do have a homework due on the 22nd, but let's suppose that you email me the night before it's due, right? It's due tonight at midnight and you're emailing me at 6 p.m. I have a 24-hour response time. That might not be in time to answer your question. Make sure that you're asking your question sooner, right? Within the 24-hour response time window. Otherwise, you run the risk of me not answering your question about the homework until after it's due. Due dates are hard in this semester. There are no, we'll talk about this later, but there is no flexibility with due dates because I need to grade these things while I'm out of town and so forth. I need to be able to have windows where I can do that quietly and peacefully. And so it's very, very important that you turn your things in on time. So I do typically during the summer have very hard deadlines for assignments and exams and stuff like that. Uh, yeah, okay. Assignment turnaround, graded and back to you with feedback. All assignments will be turned 1 week of its due date. That's pretty typical for me. I will grade everything. I will touch everything that you give me. Make sure that you turn in things appropriately. If it's not turned in correctly, it's not turned in. So make sure you do things and follow all directions. But I'm good about assignment turnaround being 1 week. You're only allowed to use material learned within the class for all graded work. Anything else learned outside the class, I'm going to give you a 0. If in doubt, ask. Permission's much safer than forgiveness. I generally don't. I really do expect you to do it the way we do it in class. And so it does look like I'm asking you to just regurgitate sometimes. It does. I understand that. But having said that, it's very important that I know that you're capable of doing certain things before I move on to other things. And so it's very, very important that you only use material learned within the class. It also cuts down the time I have to grade. Every assignment given will count towards your assignment grade. I do not curve by removing assignments, never, ever, ever. Graduate students are expected to perform at a graduate level and do graduate work. 2 parts where this comes into play. Graduate students will have graduate parts of their homework. They will have homework sections that undergraduate students can do for extra credit, but graduate students have to do for full credit. So typically they get more and deeper, more involved work, and they have to do it. That's part of it. That's what we say. We have to do graduate level work. Graduate students also, when we talk about perform at a graduate level, when we talk about an exam question, I grade it as if you're a grad student rather than an undergraduate student. You go, what does that mean? Well, that means undergraduate students can, if you think about the way horseshoes works, maybe you're not familiar with the game, I understand, but horseshoes, you have to be close to a target. The closer you are to target, the better. Well, with a graduate student, I'm expecting you to be on the target. You have to hit the target. Whereas an undergraduate student, I expect them to be close, but cigars, I give them the benefit of the doubt. Graduate students do not necessarily get the benefit of the doubt. I'm expecting you to perform at a graduate level. That means you have to answer the questions better than an undergraduate would. You're graded tougher, if you will. Late homework will only be accepted at my discretion, and no homework will ever be accepted after the solution is posted. Solutions will generally be posted shortly after the homework is due. Once the solution is posted, I don't care if it's 5 minutes after, you will get a 0. Please be sure to turn your things in on time. No exceptions. Again, I'm using the wrong thing. Sorry, I'm going to skip over. The withdrawal date, the final date for any official withdrawal from this class, meaning a W would appear on the transcript is 7/22. You should consult your academic advisor if you consider withdrawing from a course. If you receive financial aid, check with your financial aid counselor as well. Now, having said this, if you try to drop after 7/22, you need an administrative reason to drop. This is not because you're getting a bad grade. This cannot be those type of things. It is very, very important that if you're going to drop, you drop before the deadline. Very, very important. An incomplete policy. This is the university's incomplete policy, is just copied here. A grade of incomplete may be only given with the consent of the instructor and appropriate notification to the registrar, the dean, and the department chair. A student should only receive an incomplete grade if you initiate the request before the end of the academic term. If you try to ask me after 8/5, there's no point in asking. I'm going to say no. Student is in good standing of the course, and you have to have completed majority of the course. You can't be failing the course. And you have to complete about 75% of the coursework. That means you have to have done the midterm and all your homeworks, as an example. You have to have a medical condition or some serious non-academic extenuating circumstance. You can't be failing a class. That's preventing you from completing the course. Yes? The required work must be reasonably completed on an agreed upon time frame with the faculty member no later than the end of the next semester, excluding summer, and the required work cannot require you to retake any portion of the course. Don't ask. So you fail the final exam, and if you retake the final exam, you could pass. Nope, that's not an incomplete. Okay, not an incomplete. Incompletes are frequently misused in the academic world, at least at Roosevelt. And so they clamp down on them because essentially incompletes almost always lead to Fs anyway. 99% of the students that go for incompletes haven't done the work or haven't showed up and show up the last day and go, oh, I didn't know of this. Based on the homework assignments, the solutions appearing, the deadlines for this and deadlines for that, it can be very, very quickly that you can run into a situation where you cannot complete the last 25% of the course. Yeah, very, very quickly. If you're having issues that might lead to an incomplete, it's very, very important that you discuss it with your professor ahead of time. Generative AI, right? Like ChatGPT and so forth. Generally speaking, all uses should adhere to the instructor's policy on any uses in course. Unauthorized content generation will be considered a violation of RU's integrity policy. Generative AI use is not allowed in any graded work unless that particular assignment explicitly states otherwise. Here's my thoughts on it. Most of the time, it yields bad results. So you shouldn't use it. Not because it makes your life easier, but because it's going to do the wrong thing. It's going to give you a bad answer. It's going to use an older version. It's going to do all sorts of things that are going to yield you a lower grade anyway. Yes? Better to learn it to do it the right way and get the better grade. So that's why I don't allow it. However, be aware that if you are going to use it, I am going to grade the snot out of it. And if two students use generative AI, if two students use ChatGPT and it produces the same answer, I will assume y'all copied from each other and give you both zeros. Yes, it's not a good idea. So avoid it. Also, I'm just going to tell you again, I know this is going to sound crazy. I want you all to try it at some point, but be aware that AI, ChatGPT, and so forth, I've tried to use it to do the homework, and it does a pretty poor job. Yes, very, very poor job. If you ask it to do very small things, great. Very big things, it gets out of hand pretty quickly. So let's look at the tentative course schedule. For the first week, we're going to talk about 365. This is what we're doing now. We're going to review 150. We're going to do inheritance. We're going to do collections. We're going to do exceptions. Then we're going to talk generally about modern web development. Then we're going to talk about Spring Framework and HTML in week 2. In week 3, we're going to have a midterm exam. The midterm exam is going to be the first 3 days of that week. So it's going to be Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. That's going to happen week 3. And then on Friday morning at midnight, you're going to get to see Introduction to JavaScript and Angular. In week 4, does Angular and goes all the way into sessions. And you go, wait, what? Yep. Does Angular and goes all the way into sessions. That's not really 100% true. It does Angular. Mostly the introduction to Angular in week 3 is, hey, this is what Angular is. In week 4, we go in depth. We start off with using basic, hey, this is how Angular works. This is how it breaks it down. We do a hello world. We go from that all the way to advanced Angular with forms, with validation, with searching, sorting, and doing some advanced things with that. Okay. Then we're going to do sessions, introduction to sessions, security and review. And then we're going to have our final exam in week 5. Week 5's about half the class is the final exam, or half of the week is the final exam, but you'll take the final exam in the second half of the week. Note, in week 3, the midterm exam is the first half of the first part of that week. It does not include introduction to JavaScript or Angular and so forth. It simply includes week 1 and week 2. Week 5 for the final exam, it covers everything since the midterm. So it covers JavaScript, it covers CSS, it covers CSS, it covers JavaScript, it covers Angular, it covers sessions, it covers security, all those things. And it is at the final week. So it does include the stuff from week 5 as well. And you'll also notice homeworks. Homework 1 will be given in week 2, and it'll be due at the end of week 3. Homework 2 will be given at the beginning of week 3 and be due at the end of week 4. Homework 3 will be given on week 4 and be due at the end of week 5. Note also the drop date is at the end of week 3, which is on 7/22. If you have any questions about the syllabus or anything else I've laid out here, please make sure you ask. You will be held accountable to following the syllabus as given. So if you have questions, please make sure that you ask them. Note, while the syllabus does provide general instructions, general course schedules, and so forth, Blackboard provides more detail of how the week is broken down, what goes where, what day things are due. All those things are in Blackboard. Also, I just want to point this out. I do in other places. In the assignment portfolios, I go over the assignment with a preview video. Please watch the preview video. Please follow all instructions. Most of the people get points off for just simply not following instructions, not doing it correctly, and so forth. Please follow all instructions because I do hold you to the instructions. But anyway, if you have any other questions, please make sure you ask. Have a great day.